MrBeast has finally responded and included the investigation's conclusions into his company. Let's just get into it. So MrBeast replied to his original post that he had made about Ava Tyson's behaviors, and here it is. A 3-month investigation into allegations regarding my company has concluded. The law firm investigators reviewed millions of documents, messages, and conducted 39 interviews. I was asked to refrain from making a public statement to enable a detailed and unbiased investigation. Below are their conclusions. Keep in mind, I'm just going to read through this and give you my thoughts and feelings at the end. Dear Board of Directors, as you know, in July of 2024, MrBeast, the company, engaged Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan LLP to conduct an internal investigation into specific allegations made publicly, incidents reported internally, and issues raised by employees in interviews, including with respect to current and/or former company personnel and the company's workplace environment and culture. At your direction, Quinn Emanuel immediately launched a comprehensive investigation, which is now concluded. The following sets forth certain key findings and conclusions from the investigation without waiving any applicable privileges, including but not limited to the attorney-client privilege and work product protection. As an initial matter to protect the investigation's integrity, on July 31st, 2024, Quinn Emanuel requested that a former employee, Dawson French, cease making public allegations against the company, as those were the topic of an ongoing investigation. We also requested that current employees refrain from public comments to ensure the investigation yielded accurate information and that witnesses were not tainted. The intent was to foster candid interviews and complete cooperation with the investigatory process. Quinn Emanuel conducted 39 interviews of current and former employees. Over 4.5 million documents collected from mobile phones, emails, telegrams, discords, WhatsApps, and Slack were processed and reviewed. The collaboration and cooperation sought at the outset were achieved throughout this process. Quinn Emanuel thoroughly investigated all public allegations and any others that arose during the investigation. The investigation produced the following significant findings. Allegations of sexual misconduct, e.g. pedo, grooming, or CP, between company employees and minors are without basis. The allegations were soundly rejected, including by alleged victims. Allegations of the company knowingly employing individuals with proclivities or histories towards illegal or questionable legal conduct are similarly without basis. Here, too, the allegations were uniformly rejected. Several isolated instances of workplace harassment and misconduct were identified during the investigation. The company was informed of such conduct and took swift and appropriate actions to address the incidents, including, where necessary, disciplining or letting go of implicated individuals. As you are well aware, the company has grown exceedingly quickly from a YouTube startup comprised of a group of talented young individuals to a much larger entity. It is not uncommon that policies and practices essential in a mature company would lag behind commercial success. This appears to have been the case here and has, in certain instances, allowed for inappropriate conduct. It is clear that the company is committed to remedying historical issues and creating a mature culture where problematic behaviors are not tolerated as it enters this new phase. The company has already implemented or is in the process of implementing changes to ensure a safe and professional corporate culture today and moving forward. These include sending a clear message regarding tone at the top, hiring a new chief executive officer, chief people officer, and general counsel, and soon to be hired a chief financial officer, implementing mandatory corporate training for all employees, developing new policies codified in an employee handbook, establishing an anonymous reporting mechanism / hotline for employees, swiftly terminating individuals who violated company policy regardless of their position or level within the company, identifying additional employees for targeting training and executive coaching to address professionalism and compliance with company policy. This officially concludes our investigation. We remain available if you need any follow-ups or have further questions. Very truly yours, Alex Spiro, whatever it is. Now, of course, let's get started with bringing up the fact that this was an internal investigation that was directed by the company to investigate itself. I don't really need to tell you how to feel one way or the other in regard to this fact yourself, as you can go ahead and go through the tweet itself and read through what some of the people have been mentioning. We've investigated ourselves and found ourselves innocent. So your internal investigation is saying nothing happens. Got it. Are you using the same internal investigation team as the police? No way. The guys you paid found you innocent. The company we hired to investigate us found nothing. Move along, all. I guess the plan for them is releasing this conclusion and just allowing people to make the, conclusion that there was no wrongdoing found to the degree that was being covered. But I think I've already commented on this before in regard to like the Ava Chris Tyson stuff. The likelihood of any of that actually being able to hold up in court because of how it was procured, the information itself and the fact that they were messages was already going to make it a tough court case to start with. For me personally, and I think a lot of other people, what the main issue with the Ava Tyson controversy and the info that got leaked was that morally it wasn't okay. And people didn't like that there were children that were being exposed to sexual content and that Ava was also providing that content to kids. But I want to focus on something very interesting about this letter, because they don't say these things, but the implication is very much there. If we take a look at this second page, the first two they say were soundly rejected, uniformly rejected. Then this third one, several isolated instances of workplace harassment and misconduct were identified during the investigation. And then to address it, they took swift and appropriate action to address the incidents, including where necessary, disciplining or letting go of implicated individuals. They go on to say that they will be hiring a new CEO, CPO, general counsel, and are hiring a new CFO. From what we understand, at the minimum, James Warren was a part of that group, being the secret CEO of the company. So it's possible, based off of what they're saying in here, that they have, removed those individuals or disciplined them, that James Warren or any of these other people that they're saying hiring new individuals for were potentially complicit in these findings of harassment and misconduct within the company. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I just got this and then threw up my camera and started recording. So I have not had any time to really digest any of this other than, reading this and then going through what people are saying in the tweets and trying to figure out how to make sense of it myself. So I want to bring up multiple perspectives because I think they're useful since we don't have more info outside of what they've submitted. I want to talk about how they had sent Dawson French, aka Dogpack, the cease and desist for making public allegations, as those were the topic of the investigation. We also requested that current employees refrain from public comments to ensure the investigation yielded accurate information and that the witnesses were not tainted. Now, on one hand, this does make sense. You wouldn't want to taint the thoughts or the perception of, the employees that are currently working there who they're going to be interviewing, because that can end up leading to results that aren't useful. We don't want people to be making, assumptions or saying things based off of, other people when it's about the investigation of the company and the people existing inside of it. As of right now, I see that as a fair reasoning to give when it comes to doing an investigation like this. At the same time, because again, we have this skepticism in regard to the fact that the investigation that was paid for by the company to investigate themselves has come out like this, it also is very easily something like, we don't want this information coming out to the public because it'll look bad. And if we took those 3 months and let it all kind of die down, we wouldn't have to worry about, dealing with any of these allegations coming forward while this was all happening, which in turn would make them look bad. So from that perspective, this was a PR move that they're veiling or disguising under this point that they're making. I personally don't have a lot of knowledge surrounding the history of companies, investigating themselves and finding no wrongdoing, or if that's something that typically happens when the company itself is hiring the investigative team. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is something that just happens all the time. It could be, but I don't know. And I'd rather be upfront about that than not. My plan is just to get this in front of you in case you don't want to read, so that you can make your own decisions based off of what you're seeing. The issue with something like this is that, no matter what, because the narrative that was already set and the allegations already putting forward make the company look really bad, it is in their best interest to have the investigation come out positively. And if they're paying them, that's when, the point that I'm trying to make was best worded by George Carlin. You don't need a formal conspiracy when interests converge. It is in the company's best interest to make sure that they come out on top. So that's, I guess, kind of why I'm hesitant to just be so, absolutist on the fact that this investigation yielded what seems to be negligible results in regard to verifying that any of these allegations that come out is true. To put this all together, because at the end of the day, if you're watching my video, you're also here for my thoughts on it. I'm sorry to say that I don't feel confident in one direction or another. Again, I haven't had much to process. The main point of this video was to give you what had come out, some of the initial thoughts that people have been having, and just my general immediate reactions. These are very susceptible to changing over the course of the next few days, which I might do a follow-up video on in regard to. But as it stands right now, my initial thoughts are that I'm a bit skeptical because, again, we don't get into a lot of detail with this conclusion, and the company hired the investigative team to do the investigation where they found, little to no wrongdoing. And that may very well just come from my bias because I have been more so siding with Dogpack and believing that what he has been putting out has been, for the most part, true insofar as what the employees at the company believe. And I want to just reiterate that point because I know it can come into play when I'm going over something like this seemingly conclusive report in regard to that investigation. I think the most useful thing that I can do is chat with you guys in the YouTube comments and try to have some conversations and see what you guys are thinking as well. So please be sure to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this report, and I will gladly argue and discuss it with you guys in the comments below. That's all I have for you guys today. No fluff. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it useful, and subscribe if you're new. If not, thank you for just watching the video. I'll see you guys later. Adios. Bye.